Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. These two little fairy items from my fairy garden, my grandchildren's fairy garden, I have repainted. They actually faded badly, and so if you can have a look at this. And this one here, I've now added colour to them and made them look a whole lot better. Now this is the one you're going to see painted today. This one I didn't do a video on, but I thought I would show it to you anyway because it's come up so cute with its little lady beetles. It's a fruit shop, a fairy fruit shop. It's in resin. I think they were poured in a mold, and they faded badly. Now at the end of this video I've got 3 more that have really badly faded, and I'll show you how bad these ones looked when you see the other ones, because these were just as bad. And you'll see how bad this one looks at the beginning of my video today, but you'll see the other 3 that I intend to paint on video in the future as well. So have a look at the end to see what's coming up in the future. If you've got some little garden ornaments at home that are looking drab and terrible, because you pay a fair amount of money for these things, you don't just want to throw them out and add to the garbage. Why not recycle them and repaint them and keep them going, even if you don't want them, but you can paint. It's a fun activity to do, and then give it to somebody as a present. Let it have a second life. So here we are. These 2 are done, and I'll show you how to paint this one today. I had some old fairy houses in my garden. I've got another 4, and I thought you might like to see how to paint them. So I'll put the colours up on the screen if you want them. I'm mainly using Joe Sonia paints, background colours. I have scrubbed this little one with a toothbrush and got all the dirt off it. There's no flaking paint on it, so I don't need to sand it. I did a couple of others yesterday, and one of them was concrete and it had flaking paint, and so I needed to sand it. But this is more like a resin or something. I think it's been poured in a mold, not sure, but it definitely, the paint's not flaking, it's just all faded. So I'm going to leave the bottom. That looks fine. That was the colour it actually was. It might have been a little darker, but I think it looks okay. But the roof is definitely very faded, and the little stones at the back were painted stones. They weren't like these rhinestones, so I might paint them as well. This here is like a rubber, a black rubber. I might touch the black up, but I certainly doesn't need much painting either. But anyway, we'll start with the easiest of them, and then we'll go on to the others. I'm also improving on how it was painted. It was painted in a factory, so there were bits that were missed. So I'm not going to miss those bits with my painting. Good thing about acrylic paint is it's cheap, and you can come back and go over it if you don't like what you've done once it's dried. So if you do a bit and it dries, don't panic. Just wait for, if you do a bit and it's in the wrong place, Don't panic, just wait for it to dry and come back and do it again. This is a very cheap paint, this one. It's just a student grade, and as you can see, the red is very transparent. So that black splash there, whatever that is, looks like paint. Might have already come with that. It might need to be painted a couple of times. What I might do is I want to add some extra colour to this, so I'm going to get out some of the orange. And I'm going to come down from the top with the orange and see what that looks like. As I said, if I don't like it, I can just paint over it later. I'm just going to wipe that off. Wipe a lot of the paint off that brush and then blend it in. I know a lot of you might have trouble with blending. Well, this is wet blending, what I'm doing today, so if I do it on each of these, you might get the idea of how it works. So I go up past where I want the red paint to be, quite a long way past. I don't want a line where one colour starts and the other colour finishes. See that? I've actually mixed those colours in the middle, so there's a gradual blending or gradual colour change. Now I'm going to start at the top where I want solid orange. And I do all that first before I go into the red. And now I'm going to wipe off some of that paint because I had too much on. Come down a bit further. Now keep cleaning my brush to do this. So once I come down to there, once I've gone all the way across and I come down further, I don't go back up again until I've cleaned my brush. See, I'll put that orange on. Now I've got too much on there. So I'll take it off, put it back on the palette, wipe the brush, and then I'm going to blend over the top here. And then as I move down, I'm not coming back up again. It's too now I've cleaned my brush and that's too sharp a line there, so I'm going to go across there as well. There we are. Okay, I'm happy with that. On to the next one. If I've got a lot of little fiddly little bits to do and I don't want to get them wet and get paint all over my in all the wrong places, sometimes I'll have more than one thing sitting there so that I can sit one down and let it dry before I go on to the next. So if you had a lot of things to do, I've got a lot of little fairies too that I'm going to paint, and I might do a video on that as well. I'd probably be painting more than one at once, but this has got quite big areas to paint, so by the time I get all the way around here, that'll be dry. In fact, a lot of that is dry already. See, I only got a little bit of paint on me. Doesn't take that long to do these little things, and the kids would love it. So other thing is these little fairy houses can be quite expensive. I'm not, well, in Australia, not sure where you are and how dear they are. If you're in China and living next to the factory, you're probably getting them for next to nothing, but if you're a long way away, and it's got to pass through a lot of shipping, and then it's at the discretion of the country you get it to, what they choose to sell it for. You can pay quite a lot of money for these little things, so it's a great pity if they're going to get thrown out as soon as they fade. Also, the kids would have their favourite ones that they, you know, they might even have named the fairy that lives in that house, etc., etc. So it's a pity to just throw it out and buy a new one when you're wasting money, and the kids have got precious memories of that little house. Why not give it an upgrade? Or have them do it with you. The two I painted yesterday, the frog and the little fairy house, my granddaughter painted with me. We had a wonderful time together. We sat and we talked and we painted. Very relaxing, lots of fun. She wasn't into all the detail bits, which I'm into, but that's all right. We had a nice time together doing the bits she wanted to do, and then I finished it off later after she went home. And it was a lot of painting I didn't have to do. She did a good job. Even if she hadn't, wouldn't have mattered. Touch it up after she goes home or leave it as is. Just depends on the age of the child and how precious they are about what they've done. It's their little fairy house after all. Now this is coming down too far, so what I'll do is I'll put some more red back up here and I'll blend it again, but not bring it down as far this time. There we are. Okay, so that's starting to look a lot better than it did. If you look at that, and then look at that, way more interesting. Okay, now the other thing you can do is make your up flicks uneven too if you want, just to get that more uneven look about when you're blending them together. But by all means you need to be doing this while the paint is still wet. It will not work on dry paint, the method I'm using now. I can dry brush and blend, but this is not how you do it. This is wet brush blending. Once you get the hang of blending, it's not a hard thing to do. I could just do this as easily on a flat surface as a curved surface. It's exactly the same method if you're doing a painting and you're blending different colours in the sky or whatever. Now, some people would coat the whole thing with gesso first, use special paints, etc., etc., for this type of material. And there are some technical videos on YouTube that give you all that information. I'm just painting it with what I've got. If it lasts 6 months, well, it lasts 6 months. If it lasts 20 years, well, that's good too. We'll just see. I'll let you know in 6 months and 1 year's time whether it's still going. But this is a fun activity and a relaxing activity, and it depends on where you're going to put them and how much sunlight they're going to get, whether it's going to be a problem. Now, I need to come back. The red on the bottom of these is okay. It's not as dark as I would like it, but it's not too bad. But there's this black paint here I've really got to cover up, so I've really got to get that red there quite dark. To make sure you can't see that. And it's only where it's really red down here that I want to just touch up again, make it a little bit redder. The red I used was not a Joe Sonia, but a student grade paint. Byron acrylic colour. There we are, Australian made. So it's more transparent than your Joe Sonia would be. Joe Sonia would have a lot more pigment in it. So I'm just coming round and just giving it a second go and trying not to go up into the blended area. Of course, now this paint's dry, I don't want to have to try and blend that. Now that's another way you could just blend it in so it doesn't have an edge. It's just blend it in with your finger onto the dry paint from the wet. Let's bring it up there, and then okay, it takes the sharp edge off it. Closest blue I've got to that is this aqua, I think it is. What's it say? Where's the name? Here we are. Blue Lagoon. There we are. Now, if I want my hand steady, I stick my pinky out and I rest it on a dry spot in order for me to be able to get a nice even stroke all the way around. So I'm going to do the inner edge first, get that done, and then I'll put it at a different angle and get the outer edge. Now this one's set at an angle too, because I don't know if you can see that. I'll step. Don't know if you can see that. See how there's that rim bit there, but it's not on that side because that's sitting up slightly. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay, now I'm laying it over this way now, and I'm coming around the other direction to just get that edge. Still with my pinky down so that my hand is steady. Now, when you're painting these, you can paint them any colour you want. You don't have to paint them the original colour. You could change them to whatever you wanted. You wanted some Christmas mushrooms, or some Easter mushrooms, or fairy mushrooms. Then your little one likes purple, well then the mushrooms could be purple. It doesn't have to be the colour you originally started with. There we are now. And the other thing that happens with paint is once it dries, you'll start to see little cracks in it, like little white bits where you haven't got the paint all the way on. So, you know, once it's dried, we'll go around and check it and see if there's any bits you've missed. See there, I can actually see the colour underneath. And so what I'm going to do is just rub it and blend it in like that. Okay, I can't see any more. By the look of it, I've got everything else. Okay, now I've noticed that under these, I might just go over them with white when I do this bit. But I'm going to wait for that top to dry first. Now look what I've done. Put my finger on that. And I might have made the problem worse. Let's see. That's the trouble with this. You've got to be so careful what you do. I'm just using the corner of my rag wet and try and get this off before it dries, and it looks like I might have magically been able to do that. If I hadn't noticed it, it wouldn't have been coming off. Oh, so have a look at these fingers. See, there's the culprit there. Make sure we didn't get it anywhere else. Okay, safe. Luckily. Now, okay, so the next colour I need is white. Now we're going to start on the white. I haven't changed my brush. I've still got this it's actually a number 6 round, and it's a Montmartre brush. So it's not a terribly expensive one. I'm just going to go down that groove first, get that groove painted in the middle. So there's an actual little groove between, if I bring it up there, you see the groove between the two white lines? That's what I'm filling in first. bring it down to the black there where the black point comes up. Get that nicely filled with paint first. It's nice and white, and then I'm going to come over on one side, make my way down and around just to up. Now that's the hard bit. I'm going to have a look at, there's a ledge here, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be successful in just keeping to the ledge, but I'll try. Yep, okay, staying on the ledge, or just down the ledge to the, there we are. Just don't let there be too much paint on your brush so that it oozes over into other sections. There's that, and then you need to turn it around to get the right angle. Always have your hand comfortable. If I'm going to do a swoop like that, I need to be comfortable where I am. Now, you can see there's red showing through there. Not that happy with that, but I'll come and touch that up at a later date. Now, I need to turn this up. See how that's dirty under there? Looking at this upside down gives you a different view to looking at it this way. So I'm finding little bits I've missed in the first paint by looking at it from a different angle. Looks like we've gone all the way around. Now I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to do touch up, and I will bring that back to you once it's finished. But we've got this bit here to do. I've decided that these dull ones at the back, I'm just going to paint the same colour as that. Seems strange that they wouldn't just do the last three in a rhinestone, doesn't it? But anyway, that's what they did. So these little ones are now painted in that same turquoisey blue colour that is at the top, so that it all matches. I've actually just put a centre in that with the yellow. Might touch it up a bit more just to get it a bit more yellow, and I've just made these leaves just more white. and I'm going over them another time. So this is probably the third time I've gone over these leaves to get them really, really white, so they stand out from the red underneath. So here we have our little love mushroom completely painted. The flower on the front I've redone, these black bits I've redone, and the whole roof area I have repainted. And I've gone over this white a couple of times just to make sure that it's a white and it stands out nicely. I hope you enjoyed that. Now this is how this little one looks when it's finished. See how bright it is? Now this is how they look before I start painting them. So I've got this little one I'm going to do. This little one I'm going to do. And this little one I'm going to do. That one's got flaking paint, so I'll probably have to sand that one as well as scrub it with a toothbrush. So keep watching to see the videos of me painting these little ones in the future. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos.